Good morning, everyone. And first of all, welcome to Croatia, welcome to Dubrovnik. Thanks to our host, Governor of the Croatian National Bank, Boris Vujicic. My greetings to Kristalina Georgieva, Managing Director of the IMF. Best greetings to our Minister of Finance, Marko Primorac. Also a warm greeting to the Prefect of Dubrovnik-Neretva County, Nikola Dobroslavic, who is with us, as well as the Mayor of the city of Dubrovnik, Mato Frankovic, and my best greetings to the Vice President of the EIB, Madame Červinska, who joined us, but also to all of you who dedicated your time to come to this traditionally prestigious conference organized in cooperation between the Croatian National Bank and the IMF. The choppy waters and the swimming, it's true, it has been perhaps the most plastic description of what we have gone through over the last couple of years, globally, at the European level, but also at the national level. Let me use this opportunity to share with you some views of a Prime Minister who has been in office for 7 years and had to tackle numerous external shocks that, as it was said earlier, were unpredicted, fully unpredicted, not only by the analytical capabilities that we have here in Croatia, but also globally, and the impact this has had to our economies, to our way of life, to the policy decisions that were taken. I would describe this in the following way. Everything that we were standing for in terms of political philosophy, in terms of economic policy, had to be swiftly altered. I come from a political family, which is the European People's Party, center-right, which should essentially think about three main principles. One is the responsibility of the individual. Second is the freedom of the entrepreneurship. And the third element is the social market economy. Generally, that means if we don't have to interfere a lot as a state into the market, we would be very happy. However, everything that we have been doing over the past couple of years since the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic, and in particular after the brutal Russian aggression against Ukraine, was the opposite. It was the time of an unprecedented state intervention into the economy, into preserving the social peace, into creating buffers both globally, at the European level, and also at the national level. At the same time, we tried to, as Croatian government, ensure that we stay the course despite the choppy waters. And that meant attaining strategic objectives that we have enshrined ourselves as the key commitments in our political mandates and the confidence we have from the citizens. And these were, of course, as Kristalina has said at the beginning, the membership in the Eurozone and the membership of Croatia in the Schengen area. This conference is taking place 4 weeks before we celebrate the 10th anniversary of Croatia's membership in the European Union. I think as the time will pass, and my personal deadline to draw a line and to analyze the lessons learned is actually 2030, not 2023. In 2030, we shall be able to look back and see what were the consequences of the two financial frameworks that Croatia has participated in. We shall see the impact of the special instrument we all devised during the Croatian presidency, first ever of the Council in 2020, but adopted at the beginning of the German presidency. And that is the instrument of the EU Next Generation, which was a big answer to a huge problem. And I think so far the implementation regarding Croatia has been excellent. I think we are, together with our Spanish and Italian friends, among the front runners in absorbing the funds that were specially allocated to come out of the COVID crisis as fast as possible. What were the preconditions? I very much respect Kristalina and Bulgaria, but I will use this opportunity to compare the two countries with a lot of respect to all of my friends in Bulgaria. My mantra was 7 years ago, Croatia needs political stability. This is the gathering of economists and financial experts. Sometimes your angle and the political angle are not the same. But I assure you, without political stability, none of the I would say, successes and abilities to overcome multiple crises would have been possible if we didn't maintain the strong majority in the parliament, a lot of confidence, and the consensus on strategic decisions. This is key. For instance, Bulgaria, a country that basically shares all the strategic objectives that Croatia did, becoming a member of Schengen, becoming a member of Eurozone. We had 2 cycles of elections now in 7 years. The next one, the regular one, will be next year. In the meantime, in only the last 2.5 years, our Bulgarian friends went through the polls 5 times. 5 times. And that is the message, how the political fragmentation creates the political instability. Political instability leads to question marks about durability and sustainability of governments. That becomes a problem in reputational issues, and all the strategic processes actually slow down. They slow down. On the contrary, when you hold firmly the political stability, you have the capacity to use your political leverage to achieve external international strategic objectives, in our case, Euro and Schengen, that in turn actually amplify your efforts on national level in terms of reacting in crisis and also in navigating through avoiding the social unrests. As a Prime Minister, my main objective was to avoid the social fracture in the times of crisis. How did we do it? We massively distributed money to all those that needed it. Our citizens, the most vulnerable one, and our businesses. We almost forgot that the state paid 800,000 people in the private sector during the time of COVID, preventing the 130,000 companies in Croatia to go almost inevitably through a bankruptcy procedure that would in turn endanger the existential situation for the families of the employees and workers. That didn't happen. Opposition at the time was saying we were going to have 400,000 new unemployed. Today, Croatia has a record of less than 100,000 people who are not working, so the best result since 1982, and 1,660,000 people working. So 2 records, employment, highest record, and unemployment, lowest. I think that the fact that we reacted quickly, also not only using the fiscal space, as Boris has said, but also because we intelligently used the EU funds, especially the social fund part, which helped us to be able to stand strongly behind our citizens and behind our economy. And where do we find ourselves today? Today we find ourselves in the situation where COVID, energy crisis, food crisis, and inflationary pressure are being dealt with. I wouldn't say that we have tamed them completely, because there are many, many challenges still there. But what did we do in a short period of time? One, we avoided economic downturns. On the contrary, we showed resilience, agility. Croatia's rise of the GDP in 2021 went above 13%. Last year, it was above 6%. This year, we already reviewed our estimation from 0.7 to 2.2%, but when I look at the results of the first quarter, which is 2.8 according to our statistics, and 2.6 according to the harmonized EU statistics, that means that certainly, and especially speaking from Dubrovnik and knowing what will be the effect of the Eurozone and Schengen to our tourism and its contribution to the growth of the GDP, the growth will be even higher. There is no doubt about it. Secondly, the situation that we have dealt with at the European Union level in terms of creating new energy interconnections in an incredibly fast manner has ensured us the independence in terms of energy supply. One of our best decisions in the first mandate was to cut the 40 years long debate in Croatian energy sector, whether we do need or whether we don't need the liquefied natural gas terminal at the island of Krk. We said we need it. We asked the European Union to help us with the financing. We got a grant of 101 billion euros. The government said we will match it with another 100 million euros coming from the budget. The Croatian electricity company and the Croatian gas transport company added another 34 or 35 million, and for 235 million euros, we have 2.9 billion cubic meters capacity LNG ship in Krk with our network of the pipelines. Now, we made a decision to invest even more into it, another 25 million, in order to elevate its capacity to 6.1 billion cubic meters, not because of our own needs, because Croatia, when we have the full swing consumption of our households, of our businesses, of our industry, including the maximum working capacity of our petrochemical factory, we in total need 2.8 billion cubic meters. That means the current ship suffices our national needs, but we are looking towards the region with open eyes, with the, I would say, intention to help them in their energy supply, and we want to create the island of Krk being a regional hub, both for the oil terminal and the gas terminal, including our pipeline. So this is a vision of what Croatia can do at the level of Central and Eastern Europe and Southeast Europe as a regional energy hub. So, quick reaction in terms of policy measures for those vulnerable, energy independence. The most strategic decision at the European level was actually done in December, when we finally agreed. Croatia was advocating this for almost 9 months, and that is the capping of price of gas. Capping of price of gas was the most important strategic decision where the markets, the speculators, the traders reacted immediately. Once everybody realized that the European Union leaders were serious, were united, the prices went down. With the lowering of the prices of gas, we witnessed immediate lowering prices of electricity, and that in turn calm down the entire pressure of rising prices and the contributions to inflation. The latest data that we saw this week actually shows that the state has fulfilled its task. Energy is not the reason for inflation in Croatia. We literally froze prices of gas and prices of electricity, and basically we have the prices of oil derivatives amongst the lowest in the European Union. We are even being encouraged by sophisticated signals in the Croatian papers. The tourist season is coming, please elevate it a little bit now, it's the money time. This is what is happening. Why am I saying this? I'm saying this because of the business sector. The business sector should be correct in this incredible crisis. We can't see the real justification in many of the raising of the prices that contributed to our inflation. It has stained a little bit the conversion from Croatian kuna to the Eurozone in an unjustified manner. Majority of the analysis that we have seen and read and taken ourselves, that the actual conversion from kuna to euro should not have impacted the rise of the inflation. So if it's not energy, if it's not conversion of kuna to euro, what is it? It's something else. And we have seen then that in the results of the income of the majority of the Croatian companies. But this is happening across Europe. This is happening across Europe. My message here is that in the times of crisis, there should be a general behavior of solidarity and rational behavior of all the actors in the market. Because if the state protects the most vulnerable, if the state ensures the low prices of energy, if the state ensures bringing the country, its economy, its businesses, its citizens, the only one ever on the same day, to Schengen and to Eurozone, then we have given a fantastic framework for a correct swimming in an extremely choppy waters. And therefore I call on everyone to be really reasonable in this time, not to exaggerate, because in the times of crisis, the cohesion of a nation is demonstrated through solidarity. And solidarity is the most important principle of the foundation of the European Union. Why did we go to the European Union? Because we look at the implementation of the Christian principle of solidarity through the budgetary policy, through cohesion policy, through agricultural policy, through investment in infrastructure. This is the whole essence of the European project. And we should simply just copy-paste the same philosophy and logic internally in the times of crisis. And therefore, I think that I had a very long speech, but Kristalina and Boris also spoke about many issues I wanted to say. I think that this conference is fitting well in what we are doing generally. I have to praise the partnership and cooperation that the government had with the Croatian National Bank in the course of last 6 years, because when we made a decision in first months of my tenure as a Prime Minister, we sat together and said, now it's the moment. We already said Schengen is a priority, Eurozone is a priority. We devised a strategy, had a public debate, had a very well-structured process of a council for joining the Euro. I think we are all now in the age where we remember all the key accession processes of Croatia, and most of us participated in them, some more, some less. But I don't think there was ever a process of joining any deeper integration as precise, as structured, as to the point as was the joining of the Eurozone. Not only that we managed to do it in a shorter period than even we amongst ourselves were thinking a couple of years ago. This is point number one. Secondly, we did it in a fashion which looked more as we were in Switzerland rather than in Croatia in terms of mentality, because joining the ERM2 5 days after the parliamentary elections in 2020 demonstrated what was the level of the confidence in within our partners, among the Eurogroup ministers, among the Council, among the Commission, among the ECB. And Kristalina, of course, helped us in part of that process in her previous capacity as a member of the Commission. So I think this Eurozone accession and then the technical conversion, we were lucky that the new year was falling when it was falling, and this Sunday helped a lot in terms of non-working days, so it was a bit of a coincidence. But basically there was no problem. All the transfer happened, all the cash machines worked, everything was there, and we did it after the 2 weeks of transition, as there was no huge and extremely demanding logistical process behind us, I would say, done in an impeccable manner. Had there not been Putin's war and aggression and invasion against Ukraine, I think we would have been much more aware how imperfect this process was done and what was the good timing and what the consequences are going to be. For the future, we said that this mandate was a crisis mandate. There's no doubt about it. Every single day we had to deal something that had an aura of solving or managing the crisis. The next mandate, which is after 24, has to be going back to the main, I would say, global dossiers, and that is the dossier of decarbonization, dossier of digital transformation, and for us as a country and as a nation, the demographic revitalization. Those three priorities combined will, in a nutshell, be what the Croatian economy, Croatian businesses, Croatian politicians will have to deal with, being aware of all the potential unexpected developments from the global or continental level. But I think we have shown incredible resilience, agility, and now I would say a lot of experience in dealing with the crisis and ensuring our people that despite anything that can occur and that none of us presented, I always speak about my speech at the Economist Conference, The World in 2020, and I was looking at the big issue. Nobody, literally nobody, very smart people writing there, nobody saw that what was coming from China. It was a month before the COVID started. So we altered our agenda, we altered our behavior, but we ensured that our economy and also our social situation remains stable and cohesive. And these are the big successes over the past couple of years. And I thank to our friends and partners who have contributed, especially Kristalina, both at her time in the IMF and also in her time in the Commission, as well as the other financial institutions that helped Croatia to navigate successfully through the choppy waters. Enjoy the conference and thank you for this opportunity.